This is Yatesville Falls Forest. It's a state forest. It's about 1,500 acres. There's several waterfalls located inside the forest itself. I'm probably half a mile upstream from the original, or the main waterfalls, called Buttermilk Falls or Yatesville Falls. This waterfall is described in several different books, including one by Russell Dunn and one by myself, Scott Ensminger, and David Shriver. It's called Waterfalls of New York State. Right now, the creek itself is completely dried up. There's only a tiny bit of flow right now, unfortunately, so we can't really see what the waterfalls will actually look like. But I'll throw in a couple of photos after this just to kind of show you what it looks like when the water is flowing. Lots of mosquitoes out. Hot day, probably about 85. Beautiful though. Coming up on one of the first step falls. Drops a couple of feet and it shoots out down probably 100 yards to a long cascade. This one does not technically meet the dimensions of a true waterfall, since a true waterfall has to be at least 4 foot tall. Some say 5 foot. Really all depends on who you speak to. Oddly enough, there are plenty of waterfalls in New York State that don't meet this, but have true names. Most would be classified at this point as rapids. Here we see one of the very first major waterfalls, or cascades. Completely dried up. Just a little bit of flow. These mosquitoes are awful. There's some kind of animal behind me, of course. Not really familiar with that, but see in a couple minutes if he gets closer. Another small waterfall. And we reach one that should be named, but probably is not. This drops probably a good 10 or 12 feet to the creek bottom. To a large pool, probably when the water's flowing pretty well. Wade into this pool comfortably. Some rock slides and quite a few different rainstorms have come through that have caused a lot of rock slides and flooding in this area. Most notably, the one that devastated Schoharie, the town of Schoharie. We're coming back up on a third major waterfall. This one drops about 10 or 12 feet too, depending on where you stand. Sorry about that. Nice little pool at the bottom. I actually took a photo of that little waterfall there and grabbed a shot across the pool here for the reflection. If I have that edited, I can add that to the video as well. I'm walking down basically just a floodplain inside the creek. It's a spot where the water slows just a little bit, allows it to drop off a lot of the rocks and boulders that it picks up along the way. As you can see, it's kind of a sunny day, it makes it difficult for viewing. If I had anything other than my cell phone on me, I'd be able to pick up a little bit more for you. I'll try to stay in the shade. Hear a cow in the distance. I'm assuming it's one of the Amish farms close by. Driving to these waterfalls, you actually travel past several of these farms. The county is actually heavily populated with the Amish communities. Grab a little shot of this guy here. Hearing that chuffing noise again. I'm curious to know whether it is just a bullfrog or not, which would make a lot of sense. They're quite loud. As we draw closer to the edge of the waterfall, you'll actually notice the stream bed flatten out. Just a little bit. Parking area right up there, which actually, as you drive in, you get a nice view of the waterfall itself. You literally don't even need to get out of your vehicle in order to catch some really nice views. You see the stream bed flattening already. This is where the water picks up momentum as it goes over the waterfall. You see, you don't get as much depositing of all the other rocks and boulders right here. But this right here is the main waterfall. It goes down probably 35-45 feet. Usually there's a big wading pool right at the bottom. Right now there is not, it's all dried. If you follow the creek further down, you'll notice probably another 5 to even possibly 10 different waterfalls, all varying heights. There's one that you may not even be able to pass without jumping into the water. It's a great area. Definitely worth a visit.